this video, I will be going through the memo of semester test 1. Now, throughout the video, you will see me sometimes referencing or using Google to look things up if I'm not sure exactly of how it should be written. And I'm including this so that you can get an idea of how to go about writing an open book test like the one that you've been given over here. So to get started, I have the test open in a PDF, and I have a new folder that I've created with the test files that I've been given. The first thing I'm going to do is create my test folder. I'm just going to call it root. Now inside this folder is where I'm going to do my whole website, so let me copy the media folder inside. Very importantly, by the way, you can ignore this desktop.ini, it's just added because I'm working on Google Drive. But very importantly, you will see over here, it says do not modify the structure of the media folder, place it directly inside the root folder. Okay, so that's what I've just done, and I'm not going to touch the folder at all again. Okay, the next thing we need to do is create 2 pages, HTML and training. Index.html and training. I'm just going to create one so that I can create the structure and then copy it, and then I save some time. So the first thing I do is create index.html, and let's open that in VS Code and let's get started. So first thing we need to do, we have to make sure all the pages, or both the pages, contain the following. So I'm going to just write this in one page, and then I will make a copy to ensure that the 2 pages are exactly the same. So first we need all the HTML elements required to make a valid page. So that is a doc type, a head tag, a title tag, and a character set. Okay, so first things first, let's take a look at the screenshot that we've been given and take a look at what should the title be for this first page. And you can see over here it says Space Mission Briefing, so that is the title for index page. Okay, let me just do that. Cool. Then we also need the character set, and now I can't remember exactly how to do this, so I'm just going to quickly search this and let's see what we get. Okay, so meta char set UTF-8. I'm just copying this and pasting it here, and there we go. Cool. These are all the tags that we need to create a valid HTML page. Let's go ahead and just open this in our browser, make sure we have the correct title, everything is working so far. Let's see what else we have to do. Okay, we need to add author metadata. Once again, I cannot remember how to do this. So let's just search for it. And here we can see we need name equals author, content equals your name. So let's copy this one. And then edit the content to be my name. Okay. Oops, there we go. Cool. Then a level 1 heading containing the page's name. Let's take a look, and it says see the screenshots. Okay, so the first page is called Welcome to the Space Mission Briefing. Let me just open up, while I'm busy doing this, let me just open up our text file that we've been given so it's easier. And I'll just copy paste this. So remember, it's a level 1 heading, so it goes inside the body tag and we put it right there. Okay. And let's see what else we need. Okay, then we need to create an unordered list of navigation that links the 2 separate pages together. Okay, let's take a look at the screenshot again. So what we are creating is this one here. So mission and mission training, those are our pages. So we open our unordered list. The first list item needs to say mission, and the second one needs to say mission training. Let me just double check that I'm still recording. Yes. Okay. Now we need to turn these into links. So we add the anchor tag around it. So this one links to index.html. Sorry, I'm a little bit slow with the coding at the moment. Making lots of mistakes. There we go. Okay. And the second one needs to link to training.html, which remember we have not created yet. Okay, so we just copy these two. There we go, and let's change this to training. Okay, let's quickly check if this is working. Oops, and I've somehow entered full screen mode, and I don't know how to get out of it. There we go. Let me just press a bunch of buttons until we get there, right? Okay, let's take a look. Refresh the page, and there we have our two list items, but this one's not working. Let's take a look at why. The anchor tag has this weird closing tag, so let's just fix that. So there we go. Okay, if I click on this, it's not going to work because the page hasn't been created yet. I will create it in a second. I just want to quickly finish creating my unordered list. Let me just double check that the navigation needs to be the same on both pages. Yes, it does. Okay, so the next part we need to do is this part, an ordered list of internal links to navigate to different sections within the same page. Okay, so let's take a look. It needs to say overview, crew, and resources. So remember, when you are nesting a list inside a list, you put it inside the list tag, list item tag. So we make a space and we open our ordered list tag. And I have forgotten what it's meant to say. Sorry, let me just look at the screenshot rather. Overview, crew, and resources. Overview, actually, let me just open my anchor tag so long. Go overview, so we're wrapping it inside an anchor tag, and to save time I'm just going to copy paste this twice and change this to crew and change this to resources. And then let's take a look at the next one, modules, quiz, and gallery. And again, to save time, I'm going to copy this whole thing and put it in here. Okay, so these are some ways that you can save some time. Modules, quiz, gallery. Okay, now we need to obviously make sure we're linking to the actual thing. Remember, this is an in-page link, so because we are on the index page, we only need to link to a part of the same page. So we just do the hash and we give it a word. In this case, I'm just going to use the same word as the name of the link. Then we need to make sure we add the ID attribute to this heading so that later on it can actually work effectively. I'll show you how to do that just now. Now for the next one, for training, it's a little bit different because we're moving to a different page first. We need to go to training.html and then the hash and then the ID attribute. Okay, so let's take a look if we're doing this correctly. Okay, all pages need to use an indentation. We need to add a footer element that goes back to the top. Okay, and a header and a nav element used appropriately. Okay, so first things first, let's put this whole thing. Okay, first thing, let's take a look at make sure our navigation looks correct. Yes, it does. None of this is going to work yet because we haven't written those headings yet. Okay. Now we need to use the header and the nav page, header and the nav elements. So we grab this. We're gonna put these two in the header. Whoops, sorry. Let's just add our header element. Whoops, not header. Okay. We indent these two because they're gonna go inside it, and close our header element. Okay. Then we need to add a nav element, and we can wrap the whole navigation inside the nav element. So we're going to do that over here. Nav and nav. So remember, the header element contains the navigation as well as anything else that's more or less at the top of the page, while the nav element contains just the navigation. So that's what we've done here. The nav is containing just our navigation, and the header is containing the header and the navigation and the top heading. Okay. So that's that, and then we need to do a footer element that links to the back to the top. Okay, so we're still within the body tag. We're going to say footer, and we need a link back to the top. So it's an anchor tag again, and we're going to go back to top. And should say back to top. Okay. And then we need to make sure that the top actually exists. So we're going to go and give our H1, our top heading of the page, an ID attribute of top, so that it can actually jump somewhere. Let's make sure that works. So let's go to the page, refresh. The only way to check if the back to top works is to zoom in a lot and then to click on it. And it does indeed jump us back to the top. Okay, there we go. What else do we need to do? We need to add a section element to group the different areas of the page. So for now, we don't know how many sections we're going to have, so let's just add one for now. We can add more just now. Okay. So basically, that is it for the first instructions. Now that we have all of this set up, we can go ahead and copy paste this index page, Control-C, Control-V, and rename it to training.html. Now, very importantly, let's make sure we change the stuff that needs to be changed. Okay, so for example, let's scroll down to the screenshot. The heading here should be mission training. Okay, so I need to, and I think the title as well. Okay, so the title of the page changes to mission training, and so does the first heading on the page. Okay, then remember these links over here need to be fixed because now we're jumping to a different page. This needs to become index.html. Index.html. You know what? We could actually have it work this way on the same page as well. I'll show you now. So we could do the same over here, technically. On the index.html page, links to the same page, we can also add index.html here. The difference is that then it's going to cause the page to refresh instead of jumping to the bottom of the page first. But you can also do that. But then here we can remove these. Okay, so because they're on the same page. Cool. Remember, we're just going to have to make sure we add these ID attributes to our headings later on the page. What else can we change over here? The back to top is correct. We still have top. Yes, everything else is correct. Cool. So let's just open this page, training.html, and there we go. Okay. Now these should work. It does jump between the different pages, and the navigation works correctly on both pages. Great. Okay. Let's go ahead and add those headings because we need them now. So I'm going to go back to the first page, index.html. You can see we have the main heading and we have overview, crew, and resources that are all the same size. Okay. But they're one smaller than the first heading, which makes them level 2 headings. So let's come in here. I'm just going to close training for now. And let's add a section for each one. So overview, and then we're going to copy paste this, and we change this to crew and resources. Okay, overview, crew, and resources. Remember, we now need to add these ID attributes so that these links work. So we go ID equals overview. This word has to be the exact same as this word, otherwise it's not going to work. ID equals crew and ID equals resources. Cool. Let's take a look, make sure this is working. There we go. Let's zoom the page in a lot so we can check the links work. Yes, that does. Yes, that one does, and so does that one. Cool. Correct. Okay, while we're at it, I'm going to do the same on the training page just to make sure we've got that down. So let's open the training page. Again, and let's take a look at the headings that have to be there. We got training modules, astronaut training quiz, and space gallery. Space gallery looks smaller than astronaut than the other two, but technically it shouldn't be because they're all in the same level heading, so I'm going to keep them the same. I'm going to make them all level 2 headings. So training modules what was it? Astronaut training quiz and space gallery. Okay, so just to explain again, the assumption that I'm making here is that this heading, space gallery, is the same size as astronaut training quiz, because over here in the navigation, they are on the same level. So that is the assumption that I've made here. Since I can't remember exactly what the memo does. Okay. And once again, let's make sure we have these ID attributes set up so that our in-page navigation works. So here we have modules. Make sure this word is the same as this word. Then we have quiz and gallery. Okay, let's check this page, make sure it's working. Modules, quiz and gallery. Cool. Okay, so now we've set up both pages, we've got the headings correct, and I think that's everything we need to do here. Let's just double check. Yes. Now we follow the instructions and we do the same for each page. Note the screenshots that the pages have been resized. Okay, cool. So now there's 4 different headings on this page. Select its appropriate headings to establish a visual hierarchy. Remember, I have decided that because these 3 headings are on the same level and they're 1 level lower than the main heading, they are going to be level 2 headings. This is a level 1 heading, these are level 2s. Okay, so we've done that. Take note of the styling of some parts of the mission overview section, so let's go ahead and do that. So here we have a paragraph which has been given to us inside the text file. So let's take a look at this. Let's grab this paragraph and we're going to just put it over here inside overview, create a paragraph, paste it in. Now let's take a look at what's been done. So we can see here, this is bold. This outer planets is in italics. This has been struck through and this has been added. Okay, so we're going to use semantic markup for all of this because when in doubt, semantic markup is just better. Have we been told? Let's take a look. The most appropriate tags. I would imagine that if a screen reader was reading this out, it would make more sense to use semantic markup rather than just styling it. Because remember, we always want to apply our styling using CSS. So if there is styling applied to a paragraph using HTML, we're going to assume that it is done with semantic markup. Okay, so we got a strong tag, we got an emphasis tag, then we got to, what else do we have to do? Expected to end in 2030 is struck through, so that is the DEL, delete tag, expected to end in delete, and then extended to indefinitely. Extended indefinitely due to new discoveries. So that's the insert tag. Due to new, whoops, I didn't copy the whole thing. New discoveries. Okay. There we go. Let's take a look. So there's our bold. There's our italics, there it's been struck through, and there it's been added. So keep in mind, all of this is semantic markup. And the reason we decided this is because if we are doing styling and we're told to do it with HTML, it would always be better to do it semantically so that there is meaning added to the page. And any other styling that is not semantic will be done using CSS. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. What do we have to do now? We have to add a table. Okay, let's take a look. Remember, tables are created 1 row at a time. We're also told, where is it? For the table, add appropriate attributes to improve accessibility and clarify their purpose. So the only place I can think of to do this, because it's not a long table, would be to do it for the heading. So let's go ahead and add the table. We've been told to give it a border of 1. Here. Keep in mind that if you validate your pages in an HTML validator, it's going to give you an error for that, but for the purpose of marking your work, we ask you to add a border so that we can see what is going on. Remember, tables are created one row at a time. So how many rows do we have here? We have 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. So easiest thing to do, create 3 rows. Okay? I'm being silly, let me just copy paste. So that's 1 row. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Then 1 row at a time. Now we go. Row 1 has, they're all bold, which tells us that they are headings. So we need 4 of them. Okay? How do we make them headings? We use the TH tag. Oops. TH. Sorry. TH. Okay? And we need 4 of those. So we've been told to add appropriate tags. Where is it? To improve accessibility. So the TH tag always needs a scope attribute. And what is the scope? What is this a heading of? Is it a heading of a row or a column? If we take a look, it is the heading of a column. So this is all the profiles, these are all the names, these are the roles, that's the mission task. So it would be col. Okay, and I was silly, I copied it before I did that, so let's just do that. Okay, so we got profile, name, role, mission task. Okay, let's take a look at our table. There we go, they're bold, it's working. Okay, next thing we're going to do is add the next row. So the next row is going to give us this information over here. So these are in TD tags, and we need 4 of them. First one needs to be a picture, so let's take a look. We go inside the media folder, inside the images folder, and it's nova.jpg. Okay, so I'm going to just do that so we can see what's going on. So I'm going to just image, source equals media, images. Is it images or image? Images. And then nova.jpg. Okay, always add an alt attribute. So you just try to describe the image. And that's it. Okay, but we're also told that the images should have a certain size. So the width of the profile images is 150 and the height is 150. So we come in here and we add width equals 150 and height equals 150. Okay. So I'm gonna cheat, no, it's fine, let's carry on. Let's take a look and make sure this has actually worked. Yes, okay. Now we just have to add the rest of the information, which I'm gonna get from this text file. So, oh, it's not in here, okay. Cool, let's just grab it from the screenshot then. Nova Armstrong, Commander, Navigation and Communication. Okay, so we got okay, remember this last column is a list, so it's an unordered list. We have to open the list and okay, let's take a look, make sure this is correct. Yes, let's compare to our screenshot. Yes, everything is correct. So now the second row should be quite simple. We just repeat everything we just did, but change the information. So I'm going to copy all of these. Control C, Control V. We need to change the image. The image changes to Orion. Change the description. Everything else stays the same. The name changes. The role, and then the last two things, systems check and repairs. Okay, let's take a look. There we go, there is our table, and is it the same as the memo? Yes. Okay. I realize now this says mission crew and mission overview, and it's meant to say mission resources, so my headings are incorrect. So the last thing we need to do, let's just read our instructions quickly. For all the images, add a descriptive text. Yes. For the fourth column, it contains unordered lists. Yes, we've done that. The image at the bottom has a caption that says click the image to visit the mission training page. Let's grab that text quickly. Only the image links to the training page, not the text, and the width should be 300. So here's our clue. The image it says the image has a caption. So that means we need to use the figure attribute and we need to use fig caption. Okay, so I've copied that text, so let's just let's just paste it here. Whoops. Okay, now we need to actually add the image. So it's still inside the figure attribute. So it's image source equals media images and what's it called? Spaceship. .jpg. And the alternative text would be something about a spaceship about to launch. Okay, we've been told the width is 300. Okay. Okay, and now remember the image needs to link to something, but just the image, not the text. So let's add an anchor attribute around this. Okay, and just for clarity, I'm going to indent that so we can see what's going on. Okay, so let's just make sure. Only the image links to mission training page, correct? We've got the width. Okay, let's make sure this works. So refresh the page and click on this, and yes, it does link to this page. Okay, the way we know the fig caption is working is because it's slightly indented. This indentation here means it's a figure element, and the caption is obviously displaying correctly. Back to top is working. The last thing we need to do is add the video. So countdown.mp4. Whoops, this is massive. Okay, so let's add the video. It's still in the same section. So video, opening tag, closing tag, and I think it's a source, but I might be wrong. So let's just quickly Google this. Okay, video. We're not doing the one with multiple sources, so let's take a look here. Okay. Okay, well, let's just do it with the way they suggested. So we're doing this. Okay, and let's count down. .mp4, no, sorry, it's media videos countdown, I think. Just double check. Videos countdown.mp4, cool. And then we need to add controls. We need to make it loop. It needs to be muted. Yeah. So it says here the video should restart when it finishes. That's the loop attribute. It should allow the user to play and pause it. That's the controls attribute, and it should initially be muted. Then we need to use the image displayed launch.jpg before the video loads. I can't remember how to do that either. Oh, that's the poster attribute. Cool. So then poster equals media images. I forgot what it's called again. Launch.jpg. Okay, let's take a look and see if this works. Okay, it is massive, way too big. We've obviously forgotten this. 320 and 240. Okay, so what's happening? Nothing. It's showing our poster, but the video itself is not showing. So something is wrong here. Let's see. Media videos countdown. What am I doing wrong? Control. It says control instead of controls. Okay, let's see if that fixes it. It does. Okay, so it does initially start muted. The controls are there. Everything is correct. Okay, so we are done with this page. Everything is done. Let's move on to the next page. Okay, so here, okay, so now we have to add, okay, a border to the table, attributes for accessibility, external links. Okay, let's take a look at this table. Okay, so it's very similar to the other one. Remember, it's got 3 rows. We're doing 1 row at a time. So, okay, so what did I say? 1 row at a time, which means we have 3 of these. The first one is a heading row because they are bold, and the scope will be column again. Okay, so, and we need module, resources and skills. Module, resources and skills. Okay, and okay, SPC 110, SPC 120. Okay, sorry. Let's go with the first row. Okay, so we got TD, SPC 110. Then we got another table data tag, which is a link. It's a link, and we're told that the links are external links. Okay, so they go to a new web page. Here they are. Whoops, sorry. Okay, so the links are external links. Okay, so here we go. Ugh, I keep forgetting the text. Navigation guide. Okay. And the last one is star mapping and orbit calculation. So once again, we have a list here. Okay, let's just make sure this is correct. Whoa, that is not correct. What's wrong here? Okay. Oh, I put this not inside a table data tag. This unordered list needs to be inside a table data tag like that. Okay, there we go. And now we repeat this row. So let's copy paste this. And this is 120. The link changes. And it says soup manual. And this becomes pressure control and emergency protocols. Okay, let me just make sure. Okay, so let's just refresh the page. There we go. This is correct. Is it the same as the screenshot? Yes. Okay, now we have the quiz. Take note of the quiz. There is a block around the whole thing, which means we have to use the field set element. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're here. Field set and legend is how we add this text over here. Select the correct answer. Okay, now we add a form element, and what are we told? We are told that the form should be submitted as securely as possible, which means method equals post, and it should submit to results .html, which means action, I think. Sorry, I forgot again. Let's just search for this. This is what happens when you briefly forget HTML. Oh, now it's not being helpful. It's method and action. Method and action, yes. Okay. So method equals post, that's the most secure one. An action should go to result.html. Okay, now what? Use the most appropriate form element in each case. Okay, so these are radio buttons. Okay, and what do you know? I have forgotten how to do radio buttons as well. So let's look that up. Input type radio, and then we need a label for it. Okay, so input type equals radio. They have to have the same name, so let's do gravity, because the question is about gravity. We don't have to give it an ID. They have to have the same name, that's it. I don't think they need anything else. They need a value. Okay, so we'll just do one as Mars, one as Earth. Okay, and then it needs a label. Oh, we do need an ID attribute. So that we can use the 4 elements, 4 attributes. And I think we have some text here. Okay. Let's just test this quickly before we carry on. If we click on this, it does work, so our label is working, and yeah. Okay, so now we paste, now I copy that, let's paste it below. The name stays the same, the value changes to Earth, the ID changes to Earth, the label changes to Earth, and we change the text to okay. Let's make sure this works. They shouldn't be next to each other, so we need to add a break tag here. There we go. And only one can be selected at a time, so we know that is working. Great. Let's move on to the next one. Choose a spacesuit type. Are we given any options? Yes, 2 options. So it's a drop down. Okay. So let me see if I can remember how to do a drop down without looking it up. Actually, let me just save some time because this is a test. So let's just it's the select elements. I'm just going to find it here because I'm lazy. So select. Okay, select. The name, okay, cool. Okay, what does it say? Choose a spacesuit type. Okay. I'm going to add a break tag. Okay, and then we got so we got EVA. Correct. EVA suit, yes. Remember the values for the different options have to be correct, so that, because that is what is being sent through to the server. Yeah, okay. Okay, so there's not enough space between these two. As you can see, there's no space between these two, so let's add another break tag. There we go. If I click on this, it does select the drop down, which is what we want, and the drop down is correct. So this is working because of my 4 attribute. Okay, last one, there is a text area. So that one I do actually know. So let's quickly add that. So we add another 2 break tags. And then there we go. Could make this bigger if we wanted to, but I don't think it's important. And then we need a submit button. We need our break tags again, and then there we go. Okay, so are we told anything else about this? No, just that we have to add the space gallery. Okay, so that's the last one. So it's a numbered list, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then with some images. Okay, so starting off with ordered list, it's got 4 list items, but the numbering starts at 3. 3. Okay, and 4 items, and Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. So Mercury, okay, and then we need to add the images. So let's just check the numbering works. Yes, it does. So we need to add our images, which are available mercury.jpg, Mars. Okay, so it's the same. So let's just come in here, and it happens before the text. So it's image source equals media images mercury.jpg. And remember the alt attributes, very important. Okay, let's take a look. Too big, and the text needs to be below the image. So you see there, the text is below the image. So how big are we supposed to make it? Width of 150. Okay, so let's change that. And the text needs to be below the image, so we need to add a break tag. Let's just see. There we go. So now we can copy paste that. Once it works the first time, we know it'll work again, so we can just copy paste it. Put it in there and change this to Venus. So by copy pasting things, you make sure that everything stays consistent and you don't make unnecessary mistakes because you've tested it the first time, so you know that as long as you copy paste it, it will remain correct. Okay. There we go. Does that look the same as the picture? Yes. I think the reason there's more spaces here is probably because there's 2 break tags. There we go. Okay. Now you'll see the spacing is different. Probably a 3rd one. It's not really necessary to worry too much about the spacing. But I suppose if you wanted to, you could probably add another one after the text. Okay, but for now this is fine. And I think we've done everything. Okay, now, very importantly, let us validate our pages. Always remember to do this because it's the easiest way to get some marks. So I just searched for HTML validator. We use the W3 one. Go to File, Upload, and let me drag in my files. So let's drag index.html. Whoops, I always do this wrong. There we go, and we say check. Okay, we can ignore warnings. So we know the border is we can use the border because we were told to do that. They suggest we add the language attribute, not super important, and the rest is just info. Okay. Trailing slash on void elements has no effect. Okay. So they're telling me that this slash here at the end of my image elements is actually not that helpful. So in the future, I will try to remember to avoid using that, but there are no errors. Let's try this one. Same thing, the border has an error and the rest is just info. Wait, there's an error. For attribute of the element must be the ID of a non-hidden form control. Oh, okay. The text area doesn't have any ID attributes, so it needs to be given, otherwise the label won't work. Okay, so let's see if that fixes it. Let's try uploading it again. Yeah, that fixed it. Okay, so we didn't, the for attribute wasn't correctly. Let's double check that here. If I click on that, it puts the focus on the field, so that's correct. Okay, so that is it for the semester test. I'm going to put this on ClickUp and allow you to ask questions on this video. So if anything is unclear, please comment on the video and ask your questions so that everyone else can learn from the answer. I hope that this was a helpful video.